I hope y'all are having an awesome Tuesday. We are so excited to talk to Deck of Dark Dreams. I have been fangirling out about this one since they came on the scene, and it's going to be really cool to talk to someone who is creating content like this that's right up Ren and my alley. So let's get into this thing. This space exposure. This is our second space. Um, this one is recorded. I'm so happy. We'll have it forever. And we are going to be talking to Deck of Dark Dreams. This is sort of like an art podcast. Want to hear, we want to talk about philosophical stuff, art stuff, process, just everything. And the beginning, we will be interviewing Deck of Dark Dreams, and then we will get into questions from everybody. So anybody can weigh in on things we've talked about or ask questions to the artists we talked to. So it'll be hosted by Ren and I. Ren, you want to introduce yourself?
Certainly, yeah. Well, I'm excited. This is, like you said, our second one. Last one was incredible. I think I learned a lot about the artist, and it's always cool to get a little bit of insight on the creation process. I think as an artist, it's really cool to see what other people are doing, and Tendrophobia is has some incredible 3D work. I've just been staring at it and have questions, have comments. I'm just in wonderment. But yeah, I'm the artist of Overexposed. Um, I do 3D, and I'm here to learn. So yeah, uh, Tendrophobia or Decadream, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me, and thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I call myself Tendrophobia. I created a Deck of Dark Dreams back in like April. Um, so yeah, been in this. I've been creating, working as a graphic designer, uh, web developer, musician, animator for almost 20 years. So mostly only been doing corporate work. So it was looking at what was going on in the CNFT scene and seeing that other people were being able to make a living out doing art, which kind of inspired me to do this. So that's a quick introduction for you.
Did you have the experience of prior when you were doing work in like the corporate area? Did you feel less pull to make art in your time at that time? Obviously versus now, but did you did you still make art in your free time then?
Well, I've always been experimenting, I guess you could say. It's always been corporate work has always been the main focus, but I've always been experimenting. And I understand, not unlike Ren, I do have a musical background, so music has kind of been my main focus. I have a bachelor's degree in music technology, so that was kind of where I started, doing more motion graphics and animation work to begin with, and then getting over to 3D. And I've always been experimenting, but I never thought I would actually be able to kind of create what you would call artworks. So that's kind of new to me, actually, the whole process and the whole thing. So yeah, I'm excited to be here and talk about it.
That's great.
Yeah, I was asking because like that was my husband's experience doing graphic design and editing video. Like he just didn't do nearly as much with that as until NFTs came around, and then it was just like a complete renaissance hardcore. That's
Right, right.
So I have a question for you, man. So what's great to hear your voice. Put an artist to a voice, I guess you can say. So you did music. I mean, that's phenomenal. Where did you, if you don't mind me asking, do your degree?
It's from the university here in the town where I live, called NTNU. It's music technology. 3 years of bachelor's degree. But I've been playing in bands for like 10 years before that, and music has always been kind of my main focus. But I guess you can relate because being a creative, I've always been also interested in visual art. So always been playing around with graphics and stuff. So discovering 3D was kind of a huge deal for me. Has been a really fun process to learn.
No, for sure. I feel like a lot of the music tech guys, which is actually the major I wish I had done. I just don't. I had the technical ability to keep up with all the sound design. Max MSP? Is that the right pro? Does that ring any bells in terms of, because I know a lot of them would use that program to have really cool things happen. Like this one guy, there was like a fish in a fishbowl, and he did that whole thing where the camera tracks which direction the fish is going in the fishbowl, and Max MSP can take that data from the camera and assign it to notes, which is super cool. So I don't know how if you delve into that program, but dude, it sounds like we were in a. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Max MSP is actually fun that you mentioned that because that was kind of part of the education, but it was always kind of too complicated for me, I suppose, because you need to do a lot of programming and do a lot of custom stuff. But yeah, I've seen people do amazing stuff with that. So yeah, it's really cool to mention that. But for me, it's usually been like music sequencing using well, Logic or Reaper that I'm using now. So I've never been that kind of technical guy who could write Max MSP stuff, but I have a huge respect for people who are able to do that stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, and Max MSP was what convinced me not to do that major. It terrified me, and honestly, Reaper scares the hell out of me too. So, congrats on that. I'm a big Logic guy, and actually, it's. I think we have the also similarity that we both use Cinema 4D, which I definitely want to talk some more to you about in this whole thing here. But that's so cool that you. It sounds like you are a jack of all trades, and I think that you can sometimes tell in somebody's art when that's the case. I think that there's just a little tiny bit of artistic background that can come through art versus if you're just a painter and you've always been a painter. I think that perhaps interesting things can happen when a painter is also a proficient musician and dancer or whatever. I think that other things can kind of come out through the art, and I think that your pieces have a ton of emotion just imbued into them. They have a gorgeous feel. I can't believe you said that 3D is more. I believe you said kind of a newer thing for you. I don't know what newer as a decade or a year, but regardless, just hearing you didn't go to school for this, hearing that this is relatively new in whatever capacity that means is freaking phenomenal. I mean, these renders are amazing. I'm really excited to learn more today.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean by new, I mean like maybe a decade or so. So I've been doing it for a while, but not in this way that I'm doing right now. And I also want to say that I agree with you. I think that a lot of people say that you have to specialize and you have to kind of be really good at one thing, which is a good strategy. But for me, I've never been able to because there's so many exciting things to explore and to do. And so I've just music the one time and it's animation and it's just I just can't seem to just stick to doing one thing. There's too many exciting things to do. So yeah, but that's also been very helpful in terms of setting up a website, creating trailer animations, for promo stuff, and I'm able to do all that as a one man. I also think it's pretty cool actually.
And just real quick, I was just going to say that opens the floodgates to having people see a cohesive idea. I think that one of the most powerful things about one man bands is their ability to convey a message, a vibe, an emotion through the entire thing. I think that it's a little harder when there's just, let's just say, a musician, a singer. And that's all they do. They sing. Well, then they're going to have a band that they co-write with. There's going to be a producer that kind of skews the direction or the original idea they have, and there's going to be a mastering engineer that again kind of can skew the overall vibe that they originally had thought, and it gets pulled in all these directions. And I think that you know like what you're doing, I think that when you look at your stuff, you can see that there's very few cooks in the kitchen, and that for the most part, legendary artists, all the artists, the legends, they were the only cook in the kitchen for the most part, right? I mean, you got the Beatles is co-writing, and there is synergy and partnerships that happen. That's where the magic is, but I think there's just as much magic with Jack of all trades. So that's super cool to hear. That's super cool to hear.
Yeah, it kind of blows my mind that like these first two Twitter spaces we've done, both of yes, the Hardest and Deck of Dark Dreams, like they have this vibe that sort of vibes with Overexposed, and then there are such parallels between you, Ren, and Tenderphobia and the Hardest, and it's like just makes me think about people's being, I don't know, people's paths. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, certainly. And I mean, I want to kind of, almost do this legit, just kind of artist to artist talk. I'm gonna kind of chat with you as if it was the two of us, and hopefully people find it interesting. But I just want to dive into some things right away because I can't wait for the other questions that we have. I I want to get right into it, dude. So your render engine, I know it's third party, and I want to take a stab at what it is. And I don't, I'm not positive, but are you in Redshift?
Octane, actually.
Dang, I feel bad now because that's what I use, and I should have. But you know what? It might be. It's the. I don't know. Is the volumetric lighting that you're using in some of these pieces, is that post or is that actual volumetric? Volumetric, fog or cloud, whatever you use. That is that in program?
Right. Yeah. I use a lot of I use volumetric fog on almost every piece, but I also do a lot of post processing in order to give the pieces some more organic feel. So there is volumetric light definitely, but I also do add some extra, both some smoke effects, some particle effects, and stuff like that I do add in post in Photoshop for the final piece.
Copy. And the I mean, if you're into 3D, volumetric lighting can be absolutely taxing on your on a graphics card on a computer for those other gear freaks like me. So I'm curious, what kind of setup are you rocking? Primarily, what graphics card are you rocking? And also, how long do you let these renders go? Because I guess I'm in this world where I'm doing a lot of animation, and volumetric lighting is almost just a no-go. Even the denoiser on the volumetric lighting is not amazing, and I don't have 10 minutes per frame that I can spare. They have to be a minute a frame type thing. So yeah, what GPU are you rocking, and how long do you let these guys render that I'm looking at on the website?
Yeah, I'm I'm rocking a 3090 Ti, so it's kind of the top of the line. I wish I had more, but that's all I've got at this point. But yeah, a lot of people have been asking about animations, and as you say, doing these animated would just take too much time as it is right now. So like a render, I usually say that I would say that I probably spend around a week works on each piece, and rendering usually takes anywhere between like I don't know 4 to 8 hours or something. I try not to. I try to. That's doing it quick actually because they could have been on for much longer. But as I'm doing a lot of post processing, I try to kind of give them the correct mood and stuff like that in a post. But yeah, I'd say anywhere like 48 hours for one render, and that's 5K usually or more, so I can scale it down.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. Yeah, if can't do any better than the 3080 Ti. I'm sorry, 3090 Ti. I have two 3090s in tandem, and I'm already looking at the 4080 series or the 4090 series or the 40 series. I mean, in general, and I mean you know best. You know better than anybody else how crucial the GPU is for us 3D dudes. So that's awesome, man. That's super super cool. I am seeing some beautiful subsurface scattering, which for those of you that aren't necessarily into 3D, it's more or less the well, correct me if I'm wrong. You do use subsurface scattering, right? Some sort of translucency.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Great, great. So for those of you that aren't hip to that, basically what it is it's a process. It's a type of material that you can tweak, and I'm sure he spends a lot of time getting it right because you have just the right thickness, just the right light transmission. What he's doing is what you can see is sometimes things look a little bit almost like wax. If something's really bright and the actual object is really thin, you'll see that there some of the light passes through. You can see it in one of his pieces, Siren. If you're on a computer or if you're able to get to the deckofdarkdreams.art, there you'll see what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'm
And
actually gonna pin that. I'm gonna pin that to
good.
the space. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. That's beautiful, man. I still cower from subsurface scattering. You see it in a lot of skin tones. I can't do that. You see it in a lot like milk or a lot of different substances in this space. You see that and you do it beautifully. So how did you get into that? Like, what was the process about getting into subsurface scattering?
Yeah, it took a lot of time. It's been a lot of experimenting, and yeah, it's really just that's part of the process that takes so much time. It's just trying to get that part right, and I'm using it even more for chapter 2 actually because I'm using more like real skin tones and stuff. But I've discovered that part of the secret behind getting subsurface scattering correctly is using light correctly. I like placing the light sources and getting the strength of the light to kind of because if you just have like a default lighted scene using a HDRI or something that subsurface scattering won't look really good. So it's really all about lighting actually, in my opinion. So that's the secret, I guess.
Right. No, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. That's a humongous part of it. I get that. Um, so thanks. Yeah, and something else that I see a really cool theme, and I really encourage everybody to be looking at his art right now, is the use of the atom array. You've got like if you're looking at the babysitter, it's at the top of deck of dark dreams. Sorry. Um, and you've got this very, very kind of clear glass mesh, if you would, that's lining the outside of the face, and it's got cylinders, and it's got these little end caps that look like balls, and it's such a cool effect, and it's hard to do this correct, well, and even the topography of the mesh that you're using is unique. It's not the mesh you would expect, the topography you would expect from a model like that. I mean, what is your journey with the Atom Array? Because I can tell that you are very inspired by that tool, as am I.
Yeah, yeah. I discovered it, and I just think it's a really, like you say, cool effect, and it kind of brings another dimension, especially when working with faces and humans. It kind of makes them less human in a sense, I suppose you could say. The secret I discovered was actually using something that's like a polygon reduction deformer. Because if you use it on a default mesh, then it's going to just be way too much information. So in order to kind of get it to become interesting and more minimalistic, I use a polygon reducer that kind of makes it more manageable. And also you have to kind of do a lot of experimenting in order to get it right. But I guess that's the trick, I guess you could say.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that this is a testament. See, not everybody would look at that and know that that was something you sat there and tweaked and tweaked and tweaked until you know 3D and you know that tool, and you say, well, that's not how it comes default. He sat there and he really, really customized this to evoke an emotion that he was going for. I have to say, man, when I'm looking at these close up shots of these pieces, it looks like I'm looking at construction paper. Like you didn't just go to Google Images and you didn't type paper textures and download a PNG and slap it on in Photoshop. I don't know what you've done, but it's definitely gorgeous, and it looks on construction paper. I don't know how any other way to explain it. Can you share that process if it's not a trade secret?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for noticing. I mean, like I said earlier, it's kind of the part of part of the thing that I wanted was to when you just render, usually when you render images from 3D programs, they often come out a bit a bit I wanted to make them more organic, and part of that was kind of giving the images some sort of texture, and like you say, just putting a random Google Images paper texture on it just won't do it. So it's a combination of many layers where I kind of cut and paste different parts of textures and try to kind of I actually sit and I use the clone tool and the healing brush tool and try to actually go over every texture and make sure there's no parts that are too visible and kind of make it work with the overall image. So the whole texturing part is actually something that I spend a lot of time on. So it's cool that you noticed. Thanks.
Dude, oh, absolutely. Nothing goes unnoticed here. But one of the things in the babysitter, this might be one of my favorite pieces. One of the things that I love about this, even though you do this kind of almost what's it called, construction paper on a lot of these, the one on the babysitter really hits home because it feels like a children's book. It kind of feels like I'm looking. I opened up a page of a children's book, and I mean, you've got this kind of terrifying image of this huge head at the foot of a bunk bed. It's if you're not looking at it, I can try to paint a picture. It's just dreamlike, and I think that construction paper feel. I keep calling it that. Please don't take offense. It's just kind of what it looks like to me. It's a cool texture. I think that it adds to that dramatically. And something else that I noticed is your use of depth of field. I mean, the Octane depth of field is so gorgeous. And I'm curious. I'm just putting you on the spot. Have you tinkered or messed with the actual shape of the aperture of the camera to get this depth of field that you're getting? I mean, it's just gorgeous, and I don't know maybe if it's an anamorphic feel or you've just reduced the blades in the aperture or whatever. Like, did you do anything special there, or is that more or less how the bokeh is coming across?
I don't have any special recipe. It's usually just I usually tweak it a little bit in case it doesn't feel 100% right. But for most of it, like you say, the default settings out of Octane are usually pretty decent depth of field. So, but I have been tweaking those sometimes. But that's kind of not my field of expertise. So I don't always know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just using my eyes and working it until I think it looks correct. So yeah, it's all in the details, right?
Yeah, no, I hear that, man, and I think that 99.9 times out of 10, or out of 100, you don't need to screw with those depth of field settings. I was just curious because they're so soft, and it might be some post processing. Because I'll tell you right now, my bokeh does not look like that out of Octane. I think you were going to say it earlier. Renders they look perfect, and I think that you know, I'm sure being this good at 3D, you've been around the block in terms of hearing some of the greats talk about how to be good at this stuff. And a lot of times, what they say is the amateur, 3D artist doesn't add imperfections. Imperfections are the perfections of 3D, and a lot of times when we see a scene in a movie, especially if they're older, or a character or some animal in a movie that's CG, how do we know that it's CG? We look at the person we're watching the movie with and say, "Oh, that's a CG lion," and it's typically because there's just not enough imperfections. The fur, the hair is just too perfect. Or if there's in our world, skin, I can see on the skin that you have, there's tons of imperfection, flections, and the coloring, and that's what makes images feel real. So that's, I think, kind of what you were saying is out of the program, things feel like a mechanism. Mars collection on Cardano, those are incredibly clean and incredibly crisp, and it feels 3D. There's not a lot of photorealism in that collection. And the times that there does feel like there's a little photorealism is because I really spent a lot of time getting fingerprint textures and getting scratches and wipes and smears and then putting that on the reflections to make it just be a little bit more lifelike. Because look at anything that you're standing around right now. Look at your phone screen. Look at the table. It has something, a piece of dust, a piece of hair, a nick. And that's what real life is. And that is what's really hard to do as a 3D artist, because at least I like to keep it clean and perfect. And it's weird to be like, oh, I want to mess this up. I want to make this dirty. I want to put a piece of trash on the ground. But that's really what life is like, especially in LA where I lived for a long time.
Yeah,
But
and I hear what you're saying, definitely. And I think the imperfection part has been a big part of it, and especially because kind of dealing with dreams. You talked about your first collection, which is awesome, by the way, and you're kind of dealing with the robot theme, which I think really suits that expression. I think the clean look actually works really well in that context. So it's all about context, right? Because when dealing with this kind of dream universe, things, like when you think about dreams, they're often kind of blurry, right? I mean, they're not often like super sharp. You may not remember all the details. So that's kind of a conscious choice in that term, that I wanted it to be kind of organic and not like super 3D sharp. So yeah.
When I remember when I first saw your project, I was just like super excited that there was a project talking about archetypes, dreams, tarot vibes, like all these things that I'm really interested in and that I hadn't seen anybody really messing with until that point. And so I have to know, what has been your experience with tarot prior to this, if there was an experience?
None actually. I have no experience with it, but I will admit that it's been the visual look of the tarot has been an inspiration. But I've never had any real experience with it. But I've always been fascinated by dreams. So I guess there's a link there. I should probably look more into that. But I would love to hear about what like your experience with tarot is.
Yeah, I think that for me, for so long, I thought that it was like, this means of divining the future, and even more esoteric than it actually is. And I thought, oh, the only way I'm allowed to like do this is if I memorize every single one of these cards and like I know it really intimately. And then eventually I sort of realized this is just like a tool for introspection and a creative tool. I think it's really one of the it's amazing for creating art, and creating stories, because you have all these archetypes in the major arcana, and just a lot of themes that have been they're part of the tarot because they've been around for a really long time, and they just keep repeating themselves throughout human history in different ways. So it's like really good for creation. And yeah, I think that you did a really good job, and I'm super interested in, how on your website you talk about like how some of these different archetypes have come to you in your life, or in dreams, or through different experiences. And I wanted to hear if you wanted to share how any of the like where any of those archetypes specifically came from for you.
Sure. Yeah, like you said, I mean, a tarot deck is definitely something that I've been toying with the idea. But I mean, like I say on our website as well, it's like I do kind of want to make this it's a physical project. So there are cards involved, and I've been toying with like making a card game of sorts, or maybe some sort of tarot-inspired setup where you can kind of interpret the meaning of your dreams or something like that. It's something that like I said, I don't have much experience with, so I do need to talk to someone who knows more about that than me. But the inspiration for the pieces came quite naturally, seeing as I've always been fascinated by dreams. So it came quite naturally because it's fascinated by how dreams and how they affect our minds and lives. I don't have any like superstitions about them, but I do believe that they are an important part of our psyche. Our brain or our unconsciousness is trying to tell us something. And I've also been very fascinated by the scary part of dreams, like nightmares and all the weird stuff that's going on. So the characters created for the project are almost like you say, like archetypes, people or roles or characters that I've either seen, been, or thought of in one way or another in real life or dreams. So and also, I suppose I should mention like current events and movies, of course, have been an inspiration. For instance, I often mention David Lynch, who often deals with dreams. He definitely sets a mood that inspires a lot of what I do. So yeah, dreams and their significance have always fascinated me. So.
And David Lynch is on that transcendental meditation. He's got it together.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the game idea. My husband and I are into game design, so maybe I'll message you about that.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, fantastic. I do need some inspiration in that area, so I'm also going to try and involve the community once the project progresses in order to kind of get an idea there. So the idea is that like season 1 is planned for 5 chapters, so that would be a deck of like 50 or 52 cards at the end with unique characters. So I'm hoping to be able to kind of make that into a deck. So yeah, I definitely do need to talk to some people who have game design experience.
Yeah, that's definitely Alyssa and her husband, and I think that there's no one better person to talk to about tarot than her. That is her jam. So I definitely recommend you guys getting in touch about that. And I personally like that you haven't had an enormous history with tarot cards. I think that when I see tarot decks, I don't have a big history with them either. I own one, and the art on it is phenomenal. And I think that for people like us, I mean, I think our art can land in all sorts of different places. And what better place than a ritual that people take part of that helps them figure themselves out? You know what I mean? I mean, you are inadvertently, with a tarot card deck, inadvertently, hopefully positively affecting somebody's life, possibly. I know that I've had hold on, my dog wants to go out. I know that I've had some instances with tarot readings where man, I'll tell you, it made me want to be somebody in my life, and just died. And I think that I could never write those cards. I could never be the person to like come up with all that stuff, but I could do the art for it. So that would be the absolute closest I could possibly be to be part of that really cool world. So anyway, all this to say, I can totally see these, in a deck, and I can totally vibe with just the fact that you're not necessarily a massive tarot fanboy. You know what I mean? I think that that's actually really cool. So that's awesome. I know we were talking about that. This is my last huge question about the 3D for you. Are you using the default hair engine in C4D?
Yes, I am.
Okay. In the piece called Sage, you guys might have seen it, you might own it. That orange hair on that woman, it's not normal hair. Look up close and you're going to see there's like these crosshatch. It almost looks like roller coaster track or train tracks. And sometimes I can look at something and kind of figure out how maybe someone did that in 3D. I have no idea how you did that. And I am so curious what you did to make that effect, because I mean, it's one of the heroes of this piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's funny actually, because I tried a lot of different hairstyles and techniques for that character. Nothing really kind of worked, and I wanted it to be, appear kind of goldenish. So I actually ended up using the good old Adam array that we talked about earlier. So it's kind of a hair mesh that has a lot of detail, and using the Adam array on that, it brings out a lot of detail. So it's actually not the hair engine in Cinema 4D. It's actually a very detailed mesh that has an atom array on it. So it's a really detailed model that takes forever to just load. So yeah, it's an interesting solution. It was a lot of experimenting. I didn't plan for that, but I think it kind of worked actually.
I mean, another great example of experimentation. It's like, that's so cool, man. I'm just smiling because that is such a weird way of thinking about doing hair. And I mean, already, atom array is part of your aesthetic anyway. Why not try it? And I could just envision that moment you drop it on there. Your polygons go from 500,000 to 9.5 million, and you're like, wow. I mean, I would be like, wow, that is just, it's like making peanut butter and jelly for the first time. Who's the first time person? It's like, let me just smack these two things together, and then took a bite and was like, holy crap. So that is so, I know exactly the type of hair that you're talking
Instant
about.
classic.
Instant classic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to say you're a visionary and you're really revolutionary, and you're not adhering to the standards. I think that I just think that's a really cool element of this piece that I wanted to ask how that. And I should have known. I should have sat back and said, "Wait a minute, is it the atom array?" There it is. So kudos to you. Kudos to you on that, man. I like to ask this. I mean, did you nightmares and dreams? I'm super into in our Discord channel. I've got a music video that I made that was fully animated. That was all about my experiences taking Ambien. I'm a big insomniac, and I took an Ambien for quite a long time, and I had developed some very strange relationships inside of my dreams, and it's just a topic that I'm passionate about and I care about, and I'm fascinated about. What was like? I know I don't want to get like super deep or super heavy or anything weird, but just like how was your upbringing? Like, did you have? I'm always curious about artists, kind of where they came from. The good and the bad and the ugly. As much and as little as you'd like to share about, more so not the town you grew up in or anything like that, but more so the relationships you had. I would personally love to hear that, and I feel like other people would be curious to see what a very talented artist life looks like.
Yeah, that's a personal question, and I grew up being from Norway. Norway's a pretty safe place to grow up, so I would say that in many
Do we still
ways it's
have you,
been.
boss?
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, cool.
Well, we
No,
might
so
have
I'm not sure quite. So
lost him. We'll see if he comes back.
Oh, we're having
there
one
we
of
go.
those weird Twitter space issues where like yeah, it usually corrects itself. Like there's someone who can't hear, and it's like we're in the wrong interdimensional pocket. But I think everything is realigned, and we're back in the same universe.
Yeah, can you hear me, Ren?
Over and out. Overexposed to Ren. Shit. Well, at least if he needs to, let me hit him up on Discord and tell him he can leave and come back.
Yeah, I can hear. I don't.
Rugging. It's a damn magic carpet ride. That's my new name for when people are rugging on Twitter Spaces.
Are you here, Ren?
I'm gonna hit him up on Discord and tell him to leave and come back.
Okay, great. Yeah. So can I ask? Are you asking in terms of like how my back?
No.
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you asking in terms of like how my background has shaped these artworks specifically, or?
I think that, but or generally, whatever you vibe with.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't. I suppose I don't have a lot of detailed information about how my upbringing's been. It's been it's been I suppose like a lot of like most upbringings, I suppose it's been there's been ups and downs. I did lose my mother quite early, actually, being around 20. So like so many, it's been many ups and downs. And being a musician, I suppose you have a certain affinity for kind of writing songs and kind of vibing with the whole broken hearted thing and stuff. So I do think that dreams have been kind of a way to deal with a lot of the ups and downs. I used to kind of keep a dream journal for a while, where I was trying to write down whatever I was dreaming in order to get better at remembering it. And it's quite funny looking back at a lot of those dream journals I've seen. I didn't see it at the time, but looking back, I can see that they had some sort of significance to what was going on at that time. So yeah, like I said earlier, I think that dreams are sort of our subconscious way of trying to tell us what's going on, even though we're not quite aware of it in the moment.
Yeah, I think it's very helpful. I have had actually, it's kind of crazy because I'm pregnant right now, and you get the craziest dreams of your life because you're waking up constantly. Your REM cycle's getting interrupted all the time. So I've been trying to write some of these down because it's like, yeah, I'm having like a lot more epic dreams, good and bad, But um, I need to. This is good incentive for me to remember to keep writing them down.
Yeah, and congratulations, by the way. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah, very exciting. But yeah, that's awesome that my upbringing was also a lot of ups and downs, and just sort of I'm grateful to it now. I'm grateful that I don't see like challenges as an abomination. I see them as part of things, and I think that's helpful.
Yeah, sure, definitely. And the more people I speak with, the more I get the impression that it's like everyone has no one has a perfect upbringing. No one has a perfect life. There's always up and downs. It's kind of part of the human condition, I suppose.
100%. What is it that got, like, I was checking out your blog and I really liked how you were talking about in the why here why now post, how you were talking about why this why now, how you came to NFTs, and I want to know how you came to know initially, because I saw that you said you'd been a fan of Cardano for a while and then made your way here.
Yeah, I have been. I was into Cardano long before actually kind of I even knew about NFTs. Mainly because of I usually talk about the environmental aspect of it, obviously, because when we started seeing that kind of Bitcoin and Ethereum, at least currently, has such a negative impact on the environment, I started looking for more eco-friendly blockchains a long while ago, and Cardano was one of them. So it's kind of been something that I've been following for quite a while, and I do believe in the mission, and I'm a big fan of Charles. So yeah, it was a natural place to come to.
Yeah, it was similar for us. We had been looking for a blockchain that really felt like it had a real message and was like the same thing we were trying to do. And it was pretty crazy to actually find, honestly. And we'd been looking to find like people or, just a group of creative people that wanted to change the world. And it's like, here they all are. It's kind of insane that, we were able to all find this. Speaking of which, are you going to CNFT Con?
No, I wish I could, but it's where is that again?
All the way in Vegas.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what I thought. No, it's I don't have I can't really do those kind of journeys right now. Living in Norway is quite a far while, and I do have a family here and stuff, so I just can't take. But it will be fun to be able to attend one of those sometime in the future.
Yeah, there are many, many years, and it's definitely a crazier thing when you're not in the same country as it. Certainly wouldn't be going if it wasn't in this country. Dang, I wish I could get Ren's thing working again. Let's see. Yeah, it's being weird. So I actually have this Lovecraftian, dark, creepy as hell tarot deck in front of me, and it's called the Azathoth Tarot, and it's really creepy. I'll have to send you a picture of the card after. It's really good. But I pulled a card for you if you're interested in knowing what it is.
Sure, go ahead.
I felt a little bad springing that on you, but I felt like you could take it.
Sure.
So what we got was the Seven of Pentacles, and that is about long-term views, a long-term view, sustainable results, perseverance, investment. It's basically the fact that you understand the value of putting in time and energy now for longer term rewards, and that a desire to sustainable results, not looking for quick wins, putting your attention on the right things, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's a really good card to get in this community. That's exactly what what we should all be going for. So I think that's really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds perfect, actually. Yes, that's what this is all about. It's about building something long term, and I've been very clear on that from the get go. That this is not about like quick making a quick buck. I've been very clear about like building a Discord community slowly and not making it open for everyone, and trying to build something slowly and for the long haul. So that's kind of the mission here. So yeah, that was just perfect.
Man, I really like the way that you've been doing your Discord. I think that Discord should have, some. Since there are so many Discords these days, it seems like a small barrier to entry in some way. Something that makes it a little more exciting to get in is warranted.
Yeah, definitely. It should kind of feel like an exclusive community, and it is going to grow slowly. But as of now, and it's also like someone's pointed out, this the security aspect of it. There's a lot of scams going on, especially around minting season. So it's really good to kind of feel that most of the people who are there, and just building it very slowly, which is what I'm trying to do.
That's awesome. I'm glad that we have a lot of people holding down that long-term route here.
So did we lose Ren, or is he coming back?
Well, I just removed him as co-host, and hold on one second. Let me talk to him on Discord. Technical difficulties. We are having a robot hack our whole system. It's not surprising. Oh, damn. Okay, hold on a second. I may have accidentally removed him from the space in general. Oh my god. Because I was trying to remove him. I was trying to turn it off and on again. That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Restart.
Exactly. Well, and in that case, actually, since Ren is in mid travel right now, he is like in another state right now. We can wrap it up here in a minute. Let's just see if anybody has questions that they really want to ask, so that we can, open it up in that way. Any comments about everything we've discussed, or questions for Tendrophobia? We would love to hear them. So basically, I remember when I first saw your artwork, I wrote a quick article about the drop for CNFT News because it looked so amazing. But at the time, I didn't have any ADA, so I really want to get in on this. How can I get in on the next drop?
Yeah, so I've started preparing for chapter 2. I did I did a slight miscalculation for the first chapter, so we did have kind of 200 whitelist spots and only 100 pieces. So there are a lot of OGs, like Lucids that we call them on the server, who are reserved for whitelist for chapter 2. But that changes like constantly. So I'm still there's still spots available. So I will be doing giveaways on Twitter. There's also a role on Discord called Dreamers, which are kind of next in line. So I'm doing I've been doing some mystery character reveals where I get people to write a few sentences about who they think this character is, and picking some winners. That's been really interesting and really fun. I'm also
love
going.
that.
Yeah, it's been really. People have been writing so many cool things. It's been really inspiring to read, actually. So I'm also, but I'm also going to do a couple of regular giveaways, and I'm hoping to have a few spots for projects like, for instance, Overexposed, if you should be interested. So I'm hoping to bring in a lot of similar communities, just like I did for chapter 1. So, yeah, so
100%.
So there will be possibilities still. Yeah. It's still some time before I'm finished. I'm working still on chapter 2 and making some teaser material there. So it's going to be exciting to see how that's how people will react to that.
Awesome. We have a question from CNFT News.
Hey, thank you. Excited to hear this space. This has been really cool. I've been checking out your work on the website, and I just wanted to ask about the specific inspiration behind the siren piece. You say a lot of times your work comes from dreams or comes from people or real life. That's a pretty wild piece. I love it. It's like a figure in red covered in liquid, looks like droplets.
Yeah. I don't want to. I usually don't reveal like everything behind each piece. I like to keep some things
Yeah.
secret, but it is. I can reveal as much as saying that it is sort of a classic siren. The mythical creatures who kind
Yeah.
of lure you underwater and drag you down. So it's kind of a strong female character, and in this universe she's a um, dream shaper. So she's kind of part of the the bad guys, I suppose, the ones that you kind of don't
Oh,
want to meet when you're having a bad dream, because she'll take you places that you don't want to go. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
yeah, that's really cool. Thank you. I
Any
think
other
you're muted
questions?
there.
Feel free to ask.
Oh, damn, I was muted. Okay. That reminds me that I wanted to ask you, like, to explain the different, Dream Shaper, etc. Um, how would you like describe each of those? Is it three? I think it's three. Three types.
There's actually four currently. So I call them classes, and they're pretty much set, and they're part of the dream lore, if you could call it that. And I expect them to be the same for every chapter. Um, the lore is like 100% complete, but it's a work in progress where I also hope to expand together with the collectors as we go along. So the current outline is like the sleeper are the regular people like you and me who sleep and dream, and I guess you could say they're more like victims to their dreams, being manipulated or controlled or affected by the nightmares. So they have little or no control over what's going on within the dream. And then you have the lucids, who are lucid dreamers. They can, to a certain extent, manage to control their own role in the dreams. So they're still part of the dream, but and I don't have full control, but they're able to exercise some degree of power. Dream shapers are, I like to call them the acolytes, sort of henchmen who set things in motion and control or influence the dreams with their dark tendrils. And the dark tendrils are sort of a recurring element that are part of each artwork. That's kind of what binds it all together. And then you have the nightmares, which are a level above this. I guess you could call them the actual dreams themselves, or where the real darkness comes from. So I've been playing with the idea of having a level above this again, like the source of the dark dreams. But I guess some things still have to be a surprise to keep you on our toes.
Hell yeah. That is what I was thinking. Like, they are the source. They are what's pumping it all out. I mean, and I just see so many parallels to our society, like just the world. I mean, and yet it's, fantastical and a great way to explore it. And that's what I want in a CNFT project. So I'm really looking forward to getting in on this, and really cool to hear you describe. I'm just really excited that you're doing you've done all this lore, and that you're interested in doing a game. Like, it just gets me excited. Um, but yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up, since we lost dear Ren, and it's been about an hour anyway. And I'm really glad that this is recorded. It was really fun. I had a great time, and I'm glad to get to see the man behind all these, spun webs of dreams that I've been mystified by for a while now.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Thanks for having me, and we should definitely talk again if we're getting into developing some sort of game. So yeah, it's been super fun.
Heck yeah. And I know Ren definitely wants to chat with you soon again, too. Super cool to see all that y'all had in common there, and understand pieces of the 3D talk. I made a Blender donut once. That helped me understand a few things. Um, But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you everybody for coming. I see some awesome names out there of people that I love, and I'm glad that y'all came and checked it out, because guess what? We're going to keep exposing ourselves and awesome artists in the community. Every 2 weeks, we have this Twitter space at 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UTC. So we will look forward to seeing y'all again 2 weeks from now. And definitely follow Dark Dreams Deck on Twitter, Deck of Dark Dreams, but on Twitter at Dark Dreams Deck. And yeah, I look forward to the future and all the dreams that we will all make come true together in this community, undoubtedly. All right, peace out. Have a great Wednesday. mystified by for a while now.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Thanks for having me. And we should definitely talk again if we're getting into developing some sort of game. So yeah, it's been super fun.
Heck yeah. And I know Ren definitely wants to chat with you soon again, too. Super cool to see all that y'all had in common there and understand pieces of the 3D talk. I made a Blender donut once. That helped me understand a few things. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I see some awesome names out there of people that I love, and I'm glad that y'all came and checked it out, because guess what? We're going to keep exposing ourselves and awesome artists in the community. Every 2 weeks, we have this Twitter space at 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UTC. So we will look forward to seeing y'all again 2 weeks from now. And definitely follow Dark Dreams Deck on Twitter, Deck of Dark Dreams, but on Twitter at Dark Dreams Deck. And I look forward to the future and all the dreams that we will all make come true together in this community, undoubtedly. All right, peace out. Have a great Wednesday.